Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Retail Doctor Group CEO Summit on the State of the Nation. My name is Anastasia Lloyd-Wallace. I am the head of the Consumer Insights Division for Retail Doctor Group. We've got a great panel of speakers this morning, and I'll pass over to Brian.
Good morning, Anastasia, and thank you very much for attending our first digital CEO breakfast. And of course, the State of the Nation, as we're calling it, and it will be part of a series. This morning, we're delighted to welcome our guests. Matthew heads up MindArc, who do a lot of our online digital implementation work, and great partners to have. So certainly Matthew will cover moving online and customer visibility, which is obviously key as shops close around us.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. Yeah, I'll try to keep this short. I think there's already been a lot of discussion around the concept of obviously businesses moving to online retail. So I thought I'd just share some of the conversations I've been having over the last few weeks. And particularly around, I think one of the biggest things we've been asked is, how do we enable e-commerce or online commerce as quickly as possible, just to be able to respond to the very quickly changing environment and restrictions on physical retail. So yeah, there's been a lot of conversations around, is my website ready to go and to support the type of online commerce we want to do? And then on top of that are the systems in place for me to do that logistically? Is shipping going to be set up correctly, payments? And I guess from that perspective, if you're not already online, as everyone said, it's going to be a big challenge to go from 0 to 100 in a short amount of time. But there are ways to do it. We've helped stores, get up and running within a couple of weeks, or even shorter if they're willing to cut some corners. But so there are options for people to enable that online commerce if they need to. And then in terms of systems integration, I think that's where it gets a bit more complex. If you have a retail ecosystem that has a lot of integrations with multiple systems, that's where there might be some complexities, but we can help essentially navigate through those. And then another big topic that we've been talking about is visibility. And I think this has become more and more important. And the earlier mention of community is something you can definitely leverage, because one approach to visibility is obviously paying for it through paid ads, through obviously platforms like Google and search engines, social platforms. But that can get very expensive, and at a time where, as Joel mentioned, cash is very important, that you might want to look at more creative solutions. Look at the different social aspects you can leverage, your existing physical retail database. How can you engage them through digital mediums? Taking advantage of platforms that are new and upcoming, like TikTok. You've seen retailers in the US starting to use that platform from a business or commercial perspective, like Skittles and Pepsi, I believe. So interesting ways to use different platforms in the social spectrum online. And then really understanding your customers. So earlier Alan mentioned, I think his grandmother or an elderly lady were making purchases online, and it was the first time they'd ever done it. From our experience with a customer base that is predominantly more elderly, there's very specific things you look at in terms of usability and user experience on the site. So that's something definitely to keep in mind as the changing nature of customer online. I think in the past, everyone's been used to or consumers being able to do anything that they need to on the site, and not obviously everyone is always aiming for a very intuitive experience, but there was a bit more leeway. But now we're dealing with more of a different spectrum of consumer. We want to be sure that we're enabling our consumer based on the products we're selling. So if we know we're selling to a lot of elderly, how can we better make their checkout or checkout workflow, simple, not have any like roadblocks along the way? Is the readability of the site very easy to follow, and thinking of those types of elements. And then, working with Brian's team to really understand consumer insights. They have a lot of really great information and processes around understanding that. So I do recommend touching base with him about that. And then really it's about making sure that the customer now gets engaged regularly digitally. The benefit is obviously there's a lot less product being purchased in the physical side of things because of all the restrictions and social distancing. So I think that's probably what's driven a lot of the physical retail stores to close, rather than just thinking, I mean, even though there's been a lot of stimulus packages to help them stay afloat, I think consumers aren't going to go physical shopping anymore because they're worried about health. And that's probably a big impact to what we're seeing from a traffic perspective. And now everyone's looking to online, obviously, to replace that as consumer sentiment improves, obviously, or confidence. Another thing we're getting a lot of questions about is enablement of remote work, and obviously how to manage that from a logistics perspective, making sure you're managing your shipping and order management, and how that hooks up to your logistics and shipping providers, and making that seamless. So that's a very interesting topic. And for those retailers that are changing and doing or planning to do a lot more digital, getting used to understanding how they're going to work with their warehouses and shipping partners, and making that more scalable, rather than, some retailers might still be doing it at a very per order basis, where, how do you enable bulk more so? And with all the reduction in headcount, obviously there's staff members who are now taking on multiple responsibilities. So systemizing and automating certain processes is something we're working on as well. We have our company at least has a partnership with Optus and Ring Central, and we're trying to use that to enable work from home strategies and make it a lot easier for people to work from home as well. So that's definitely a topic. Our whole team is working from home at the moment, and for us it's a bit easier. Obviously, a lot of our work is online, and so it was a seamless transition for us. But finding ways to help that and enable that is important as well in this environment.
Great. So Matthew, you mentioned that 0 to 100 and doing it very quickly. I think one of the pieces for many retailers with online is this visibility of inventory, replenishment models. Any sort of advice there for really, in that question, entry to mid-level retail?
Yeah, so I guess I think keeping things simple is probably the main key aspect to keep in mind. I think it's very easy to go down the path of saying, I want to do this, work on this project to move online, and try to overcomplicate it. And that happens very quickly when it comes to software. So it's keeping an open mind in terms of, what does my MVP look like, or a minimum viable product? And let's get that up and running to start the process of enabling that commerce to happen. And while that's happening, we can continue to enhance and release new features, functionality, integrations. But yeah, that's definitely one key thing to keep in mind when approaching that 0 to 100 kind of, project.
Yeah, I think that's right. And working from basic business information systems, point of sale, modules on CRM, modules fulfillment. So it's all there. But I think the starting point is exactly that, supported by a simple roadmap.
Mm-hmm.
And accelerating the basics.
Yeah, that's right. And then, a lot of retailers already work with probably digital agencies or advertising agencies that already can enable this to happen for them. So I think having the right conversations with them about really understanding, what's our visibility, how is our customer looking for product at the moment, because it's changing. So, search companies particularly have a lot of insights, and, we can help provide some of those insights from a search perspective. What's changed recently, what kind of products are actually trending, and it's probably going to align with some of the categories or verticals that we've heard about earlier today already. But yeah.
Anastasia, any questions coming from Matt's session, or we'll move through to Simon?
I think just one thing which might be something we've kind of maybe discussed slightly offline is maybe for a future event, some examples of best practice online, retailers moving to online, and how to show that. And I think that might be great, because we've discussed maybe holding a shorter session in the next week, and maybe we can work with Matt to sort of give some examples and best practice that retailers can use for inspiration for moving online.
Would you be up for that, Matt?
Yeah, definitely. I'm happy to definitely share that and show what experience we've had, and really good examples in the market of good retailers doing really good web experiences. So yeah, we can definitely do something like that.
Right. We've got some examples to share as well. So we look forward to that. Simon. Thank you, Matthew. Fantastic work.